Hi, I'm Laurie-Ann, and I'm a results leader.
You're listening to ResultsLeader.fm. Being a thought leader is easy. Getting results is hard. This show is for the results leader who lives and dies by their results. Here is your host and Chief Results Leader, Jonathan Rivera.
Yes, y'all. It is time once again for another ResultsLeader.fm. I'm stoked that you're here. If you're new to the show, welcome, friend. If you've been here before, then welcome back. You know what we do here. We have conversations with results leaders who are paving the path to making the world a better place. And today I've got another amazing interview with speaking strategist and business mentor for coaches and consultants, Miss Laurie-Ann Murabito. Let's jump in. Laurie-Ann, welcome to the show. This has been a long time in the making. Are you ready to do this?
Yes, I am.
I know you are. And that's why I'm going to give you a softball to start everything off. Let's give our listeners a little win. What book have you given most as a gift?
Well, besides my own, because I have two books, Rethink Leadership and Rethink Your Leadership, I would say outside of that is the book, Love Yourself Like Your Life Depended on It.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, actually, I just sent a copy to somebody just last week.
I like it. That's a new one for us, and we'll add that to the reading list. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Story time now. And we all would like to hear a story of how what seemed like a failure at the time turned into a later success for you.
Oh God, where do I begin? Because when I think about that question, there have been so many failures in my life that, well, I should say they appeared as failures. Everything from relationships to jobs to launches. And I think what I really learned from them, and if you want me to go into a story about one of them, I will. But I think what I learned about them afterwards is that there was obviously something better coming, something that I needed to learn, something that this is just not the right time for this relationship, for this launch, for this product. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I still want a story.
You still want a story. Okay, so since we're talking about different results, gosh, I'm going to tell you a story from years ago about a job that I really thought this was going to be a great job. I come from the world of healthcare, from the world of ultrasound. And I was fortunate enough, I'm credentialed in cardiac and also vascular ultrasound. And the boards are ridiculously hard to take. Lucky for me, I did pass the first time around. I wanted to learn abdomen because I just knew that the more that I knew, the better it would be for me in my career in the long run. And I thought I was going to be in healthcare for a long time. So I found this company that was going to teach me abdomen. And it was just so horrible. It was a mobile company. I would literally drive 5 hours from Boston all the way to New York, to northern New York, to go do one or two patients in a nursing home, like a state-run nursing home. And it was actually very sad. It also taught me that I needed to stay healthy, but it didn't work out. One, I just didn't like the woman that I was working for, and I just wasn't learning the abdomen like they had promised me. So I had to pack it up. And that was a hard decision to make because you put so much emphasis in this is going to be it. This is going to work. I'm sure if I just hang on another week, no. So I finally just had to say, bye-bye. Here's your truck. Here's your machine. Yeah.
So how do you know when to call it quits? Because there's also that part where I know you've seen the cartoon where there's a guy digging the mine and he's one step away from diamonds, but he quit too soon. But how do you know when it's the right time to quit?
Our bodies are very smart. So listen to your body. Just notice what your body's doing. It reminds me of as I was driving to work or having to check in and figure out who are my patients that I'm going to be seeing that week, in this particular job circumstance. It was just my stomach was in knots. And you have to start to ask yourself, why is my stomach in knots? I think it's really our intuition trying to direct us in a different direction, to move us. And and it wasn't this particular job. By the way, I've never learned abdomen. I've never learned abdomen ultrasound at all.
You didn't want to be there, though, right?
I don't know. It just, just in kind of going over this story with you, I'm just realizing, wow, like that was my opportunity. And yep, I was detoured.
Now, I'm going to push a little bit further here because I find this interesting because I'm with you. I've written it in my journals. I've told myself this before. Trust your gut. You know what's right. But there's so many people out there that are like, your gut's wrong. You don't use logic. Like, what do you say to those people then?
Has there ever been a time when you did trust your gut? Has there ever been a time that you didn't trust your gut? And what happened? Like, what happens when you listen? What happens when you don't listen? Because I think logically, I should have stayed. I just should have stuck it out. What's that? Work hard, hustle hard. Why did it have to be so hard? When I learned, vascular and cardiac, it was not that hard. I mean, like literally, like it's almost like the oceans like opened up, like that's what I was supposed to do. And when I got those first credentials, I mean, it was a teaching hospital outside of Boston. They just took people without experience. As long as you had a science degree, they were willing to train the right people. So that was easy. So I guess that's what I say to people when they're just like, yeah, but that's not logical. Like my dad's an engineer. So everything's black and white. And he did not understand my career moves, how I would take a step forward and then takes 2 steps backwards. But he was at the same company for years. So that was logical for him.
What would you say is the most worthwhile investment you have ever made?
A coach. Not all my coaches.
Okay.
But certain coaches that I have worked with, yes, I would say that those have been, professionally, those have been great investments for me.
How do you go about picking a coach?
That's not always the easy part, I would have to say. You have to have a connection with them. So for me, one of the things that I will do is I will go to people's websites and I will look at them. And one of my qualifiers is, do they have a picture of themselves on their website? There's a lot of coaches out there who don't. And if you don't, I'm just like I can't see in your eyes. I can't see your smile. I can't see your expression. So I just go on to the next person. So I took that information and I think we should notice the way that we buy and the way that we invest. My website is obviously filled with pictures, of me and what I do and speaking. So one is definitely, I check out their website. I'll look at testimonials, but with testimonials, it's like, okay, you may only put the best testimonials on your website, but then I'm going to make sure that I show up to the phone call and I have certain questions, like what's important for me to know about this person, about their background, how they got here. I'm always interested in how people got to where they are. Like I started in healthcare and now I'm helping people write speeches. I mean, there's a lot that happened in between there. And so I always I'm just fascinated by people's career path. That's a little bit about and then I trust my gut. There's that gut thing again.
You said a coach has been a great investment, but you said some of them haven't. Can you share an experience, not naming any specific names, but what a bad experience was like and maybe what you learned from that?
Hiring the wrong coach, hiring somebody for another reason that's not really their specialty. It just happens to be something that they're good at. Like, let's just say funnels, but they happen to be like a money mindset coach. So just hiring the wrong person. But it was me who was kind of had that expectation of, yeah, but they're good at X, Y, Z. Like I see them good at this. Surely they can help me. And so that was one of them. And I would also say the coaches who you just get on the call and they'd be like, so what do you want to talk about today? Yes. I struck a chord with you, didn't I? And I don't do that. Like I will ask my clients, is there something specific you wanted to talk about today? Because sometimes they do. And sometimes they're just like, well, I just have this one question. And because I always got something that we're going to work on because I know what we need to work on. And so the coaches that have really know me, but also know, let's face it, like with coaching, it's like, hey, I want to talk about this. But it's like, oh, no. It's really this that you need to be talking about so that we overcome this so that we move forward better. But, like our own, I don't want to say our own worst enemies, but we'll avoid the uncomfortable stuff as long as we can. Or it's just stuff that we're not seeing that's in the way. So I love a coach who can see exactly what we need to be discussing, what we need to move
and
through.
have a question or two
How
in
about
place. Come on.
Yes. Yes. Nada,
Yeah.
what do you want to talk about today?
Keep 'em on. Hang up on people like that. I've had a few of those. I'm like, okay, all I needed to know. Thank you. In the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
A couple. I'm going to say
Whoa, what do you
responsibility.
mean by that?
Really understanding that I am responsible for the success in my life. I am responsible for my health. I am responsible for my business. I'm responsible for everything that I want in my life. I'm responsible for that. If I don't take the necessary actions, it's not going to happen. It's not somebody else's job to come and do it for me. You know, it sort of reminds me of this quote. I'm wondering if you've ever heard this. I don't know who actually said it, but the quote is, "Success is never owned. It's rented, and the rent is due every day."
Of course.
Have you heard this?
Amen daily.
I love this quote. And I used to use that a lot when I was speaking in leadership because it applies to everything. Like, an engaged team is never owned. It's rented and the rent is due every day. A beautiful relationship with your significant other is never owned. A healthy body is not owned. You work at it every single day. Otherwise, all of us would have already had one salad and gone to the gym once and said, good, check that box. Yes. So I would say, so responsibility is one of them. And then also my second one would be around integrity, which probably you're surprised by this answer as well. But integrity is a very high value of mine, and it always has been. But what I realized in the past few years is that if I promised, like I promised you that I was going to be here for this recording, I even showed up early because that's what I always do. But what I noticed a couple of years ago was when it came to things that I was telling myself that I was going to do for myself, I would be like, oh, yeah. I'll get to that workout later. Oh, maybe we'll do that tomorrow. I'll start eating healthy tomorrow. I'll reach out to that person. I'll do that follow-up later. It's Friday afternoon. Like, I would put that stuff off. And that's self-integrity. It's me not doing what I said that I was going to do for myself.
Yeah, we often put ourselves last. And it's really our job. If we want to serve the people around us, we do have to put that time in the calendar so that we take care of ourselves first. And so many people miss that. I have blocks in my calendar for my family time, for when I'm picking up my kid, all that. That's what I'm doing first. Work fills in after that. And if work doesn't fit, then too bad. Then, that's just the way I run my life. But I don't know if you've read it. If you haven't, go pick it up. Extreme Ownership. Like, you're just all over the extreme ownership with the responsibility and the integrity. It's a great book. I think you'll enjoy it because I've spoken to you a couple of times. I think you might get out of it. If you like audiobooks, even better in audio. Yes, better in audio.
Great. I will. I'm going to just wrote that down. It completely sounds like the sort of book that I would like. But there was a study that was done at Harvard about people who had self-integrity and were great about their self-integrity were 100 to 600% times more productive.
Yeah, we're getting things done because we got other stuff to do.
That's right.
It's so simple, people. If you only knew, that's the formula. So let's talk about bad recommendations. What are some bad recommendations you hear in your area of expertise?
Okay, first you have to have experience. Get some experience first. Well, how are you supposed to get experience if you don't actually just go out and do the thing? And then I hear a lot of people who are going through their certification programs. Oh, well, I have to finish my certification first. And then I can go out and coach people. Well, why don't you just get out there and coach people? We're not talking brain science here. You're not operating on people. So go out there and coach the sort of people that you want to coach. Go out there and start speaking. You don't have to be some expert or some celebrity or somebody who's been in their field for a gazillion years before you start speaking. And those are some of the excuses that I hear a lot of people say And I'm just like, where'd you get that? Well, that's just what everybody says in the online world. And I'm like, are they selling you a certification program?
Yeah. Consider the source. Are you enjoying the interview? Yeah. I had to jump in here for a second and ask you, if you've been listening for a while and you haven't subscribed to this show, why not? Go to wherever you listen to podcasts, type in Results Leader FM, and hit the subscribe button. That way you never miss another episode. Now that we got that out of the way, let's jump back into the interview. Let's talk about results. Why do results matter?
I think it's a sense of accomplishment, knowing that you're making the world a better place, that you're moving forward. I think like without results, whether you're internally or externally motivated, you're going to have different markers for results, if that makes sense. I think like in the world that you and I are working in the online world, got a podcast, and that's great when that attracts clients. But like the way that I judge my impact is by by numbers. Not just numbers in my bank account, but also like how many people are downloading my podcast? How many visitors do I have to my website? I know that I'm making some sort of an impact in that way. How many people are attending programs that I'm either running virtually or when I'm speaking in person? So I would say I'm evaluating things by numbers. And I know a lot of people are like, what? That just doesn't make sense. But that's my key marker in knowing that I'm making an impact and I'm here to make that impact with others, with other business owners, with other people to give them more confidence. And it also makes me feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, my purpose, my dharma.
In the last 5 years, what new realization has helped you get better results for your clients?
Speaking is the gift that keeps on giving. And a lot of people probably have heard me say that. I know my clients hear me say that over and over again because there have been so many instances in my own life, but also for my clients that when you are out there speaking and doing your craft, whether that's coaching or engineering or you're a VA, when you're out there doing your craft, other people notice. So I mostly work with people who, like, I teach them how to use speaking as their best form of marketing. And you're speaking to an audience of pre-qualified leads because these are people who wanted to come and hear you speak on your topic or at this particular themed conference. And you just never know. Those people can either hire you, refer you, or what's even a little more fun is that a couple of years later, they might be on a committee for a conference. And they are still on your email list. And they say like to the committee, like, hey, we got to have this person. Again, speaking's the gift that just keeps on giving.
That's weird that you mentioned that. I just had a call with a client or a potential client, and it's his advisor that knew me for 10 years. I'm like, you knew me? Yeah, you were doing this show 10 years ago. And I'm like, what? I didn't even know I was still out there. So that speaks to your point.
See?
Go out there and do it. Put it out there. I like it. What area of your business would you like better results?
I think in using JV partners, affiliates more. That's an area that I haven't really been using very much. I've been affiliates and I've been JV partners for other people's programs, but not something that I've used actually myself.
What's stopping you?
Finding the right people. And that's actually just an excuse if I'm going to be honest.
Line, but you had to say something, didn't you?
As the words were coming out of my mouth, I'm just like, that's really just an excuse. You know, a whole list of people. Yes.
Good. That's good. What results are you most proud of?
On a personal note, I would say my health. I haven't had any major health crisis. I don't plan on having any. Whenever I go to the doctors, I tell them just like, I plan on being your most boring patient today because I have no complaint. I just show up. And I actually said this to my general physician. I said, I showed up because I know that you get dinged if I don't show up for a yearly annual physical. And she was like, yeah, she goes, thank you. Besides that, I would say the 2 books that I've written. And the reason why I'm picking those as part of my answer is because school was very difficult for me. And I never considered myself to be a writer, and to have written a couple of books that have impacted a lot of people, and I've gotten some really nice feedback about them. They're short, sweet, and to the point, and not something I expected to do, not something I ever expected to become an author.
Any parting thoughts you want to share with the results leaders who are listening to us right now?
I would say dream big and just go for it. I mean, like, what would happen if you actually achieved whatever it is that you were thinking of? I think too many times that we limit our vision, we limit our intentions because we're afraid of, like, well, what if I don't make it? But I always say to people, like, but what if you did make it? I mean, think about the role model you are for those around you. And if you have children, I just think, like, people, like with children, like you going for your dreams, you're just setting these little minds that are watching you are going to be like, oh, okay, well, that's just the way that they grew up, is you dream big and you just go for it. Imagine what a world we would have.
Wouldn't it be amazing? I know our listeners are going to want more from you. I know you have a podcast, so will you please share some information with us?
Absolutely. Thank you. My podcast is called Be in Demand with Laurie-Ann. My website is speakandstandout.com. And you can also follow me over on Instagram, where I drop a lot of gold nuggets. And that is the handle over there is Laurie-Ann.Murabito.
Excellent. We will have links to everything in the show notes. Thank you, Laurie-Ann, for being with us. Thank you, results leaders, for tuning in. Another show is in the can. That is a wrap for another edition of ResultsLeader.fm. If you are out there getting results for your clients and you want to be featured on the show, go to ResultsLeader.fm now and apply to be on the show. And if you love what you're hearing, share the show, give us a rating and review, do anything to help us get the message out there. Thought leadership is easy, but results leadership is hard. We'll catch you on the next one.
This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.